20TD. Matt Diamond from the Oppenheimer Ranch and his guest, and we're going to be talking about sustainability here. Alosha, is that how you say your name?
Yeah, correct? Alosha.
Oh, great. Cool. So nice to have you guys both on, and we're going to be talking about building sustainable homes and communities, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
So I don't know much about it, so I'll just let you go right ahead.
The way we had it set up is apparently this is the Q&A session. I put 3 videos up on Oppenheimer Ranch Project, the first 3 lessons, and whoever shows up tonight will be able to ask questions. So,
but we do have a few questions already, which I'd like to cover, which I'm gonna get in straight away. So, folks have asked me some few awesome questions in the last 2 weeks already. So I'd like to just hammer those out. And if we've got any more questions, we can go for it.
Yeah. And then if Ransome, you could watch the chat and write down the questions and give them to us. Cause I don't have the ability to do that. I'm terrible connected.
I got it right here so I could read it.
Okay. And the YouTube thing, it will record so we can play it again, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let me get into it. Yeah, legalities and code. It's the biggest one because a lot of people are not buying my course or not wanting to start a community because they feel like the government is just going to come and crush them, or they're not allowed to do this or not allowed to do that. Guys, it's scary. It is scary what is happening. And not to put any fear, but the whole system is really locking down. It's locking down, locking down. And we're giving it the power from the beginning by, maybe not being aware of things, but the system is so locked down now that in a few years, American children have to get 60 vaccines by the age of 6. It's insane. Yeah, my son is not vaccinated. He's the strongest boy in the school. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'd love to make a coalition and speak to the government, but it feels like it's a losing battle because they just don't want sustainability to be out there. No. So that's a real bummer. So what folk are doing, a lot of Germans are traveling out of Germany because of the same stuff, and they're going to places like Nepal and India, and Americans are doing the same. So really Bali, and finding places where they can get long-term visas or citizenships, and they're getting the hell out. I know some of your states are allowing a bit more lenient on this kind of thing, but you really have to be in the middle of the desert, which is also a bummer because, we want our communities to be in beautiful places. We want to be able to choose where we want to have our communities. But the only reason I see out there is the people from Gemstone University, the whole sovereign movement, and you actually correct your status. I don't know if you heard about it. You correct the status of your sovereign being, and you correct the status of your land, which makes them not be able to put their foot down. They can stand at the gate and shout and threaten, but they will not be able to get in. So check out Gemstone University. It's a lot of studying, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of paperwork, but it seems to be the only thing that can actually protect people right now. So there is a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, so
in the U.S., Alosha, we have a map. It's called the Pockets of Freedom map. It came out from the Earthship Academy. A couple other people picked it up, but these are counties mostly in the Southwest, like you said, in the desert, where there are a few places where certain building codes and other things are more lenient, where you could actually pull off a community like this. But it's important that you do your homework, because a lot of times you might get out to a pocket of freedom and then find sheriffs hassling you and all kind of shit. Like Conejos County nearby here, that has happened.
Okay, so what we can do, we can also be proactive in involving the government officials to do work with us. So, for example, we were planting apple trees right now on our, community land, and we got the school children to be involved, and we're videoing the whole thing, of course. So then we're also making some governors and people aware to come and plant trees with us. Because at the end of the day, yes, there are dark forces that are controlling the planet, but people on the ground, there's very few folk that really want to make it horrible for other people. They want co-creation. They want people to be happy, So even people working in counties and sheriffs, there are people, so if we can be very clever with our PR, involve the children, involve some of the county officials, then have a sense of ownership with your project, not financial ownership, but ownership as in care. So it's just another angle to try on, and maybe both, so yeah. Then another question was people making money on site, like some folk are going to be immediately making cash from training centers or apples and apple pies. And then there's for example, folk like me that has an internet business that, I can sit for 2 hours and make, for example, 30 times more than them in the beginning stage. Obviously, when the apple trees and everything grows, there's amazing income because it's all organic. And the question was, well, folk in communities get pissed off, with folk that are making money off-site. So I think and I've spoken to a few wizards about community wizards about this, and the message that came out was that we need to discuss things together. So if I'm not putting in labor, like today they're going to plant apple trees and it's 14,000 apple trees. I'm just not built for this kind of thing. You know what I mean? And plus I've still got the internet business to run. So then I could, for example, pay a labor or two to replace me on the field because, I'm paying labor 10 times less than I'm making per hour, for example. That's that whole businessman mentality coming in. I can be a lot more useful in the community by doing things that they can't do. So sticking me in the field and digging holes is not the right thing. So again, just communicate with each other because it's the lack of communication that gets people pissed off. So just to cap on it, if I can't put in the time, I can put in the money because it's still energy. Okay, funding. The next one is funding. Funding is a tricky one. And as I said in the webinar, and I'm not going to repeat it, there's a variety of funding models. There's the pensioner funding. So a granny in San Francisco, sick of living in a city, would like to always wanted to bake bread, but she's 80 years old. So we match her with a top bread baker, and boom, there's a little micro funding that come in. There is the video game that we could make that's linked to the land, like SimCity. There is the angel investors. There is the crowdfunding that can give us a bit. There is, of course, the selling of the plots of land that can give us a bit of funding. And we're experiencing the situation now because it's 4 key starting members now on the land, and it's just not enough. Because when we don't have, I'm having a little bit of cash coming in from internet business, but to fund 110 hectares, which is 250 acres, it's not something is even fathomable right now. I mean, this thing is going to cost $40 million to build to this level, so, but yeah, so the funding is a tricky one because, but definitely you got to find a conscious angel investor or a few that could, for example, somebody could fund a training center like Solar Living Institute. Somebody could fund a permaculture angle, a permaculture zone, maybe funders who have certain loves and passions, so they could fund the project of the passion. Somebody could fund our Earthship Hotel. The Earthship Hotel is right here, So it's a tricky one. I'd like to hear from David if you got any ideas on funding these models. Of course, they have to have professional business plans and so on for even angel investors to see. But yeah.
Yeah, well, all of your ideas are good. And more importantly, the people in the community, there are people with money that don't have a lot of money. Like to buy your own homestead here, you would need around $300,000. And then if that was all of your money, then what are you going to do? You're going to be poor on a giant homestead. So there are some people with a lot less than that, like $50,000, $40,000. Maybe they could get just a small piece of land early, and a number of them can help you fund, and they can also help with their sweat equity because now they bought into the community. All they own is a small plot of land here that one day they'll have their exactly what they want, their super adobe home on. But it's their capital and then their sweat equity that's going to build the community center or the Earthship Hotel. And by doing that, they get to share in the profits of the Earthship Hotel or the center. It's written into the contract. They get 2% forever because they helped make it occur so that money can continue to run in.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, David. Another thing one could do, everybody's moving onto the community and everybody has a car or 2 cars. You know, let's say there's 100 families with, let's just say 2 cars each. That's 200 cars. If we can sell most of those cars, buy 2 microbuses, buy a few pickup trucks that we can carry sand, cement, because that's what we need, like an off-road, and we can buy a couple of Jeeps that, you know, can obviously the roads in the communities. So we have enough vehicles to transport many people, few people, a little run around to town and back, a pickup for cement and so on. You know, then we have we can create a fund from selling, you know, the other 150, 140 cars, and that can already be invested into highest impact, highest income business, whether it could be an Earthship Hotel and a training center, or whatever your theme of your community is, you know, to make it commercially sustainable. Yeah, why do communities fail? And it can be seen in Russia. I really think that a lot of starting points haven't been done correctly. For example, people come into with their disease from the city, like these Anastasia communities in Russia, 600 of them. They come onto the land and they chop it into blocks, the whole thing into blocks. You know, like a city, it's insane. I mean, for example, if you do have a flat piece of land, you could use a Moroccan carpet geometry where you've got the hexagons and the squares, for example, you know, creating a slightly different pieces of land. That's the first thing, but it's not even about the shape, but the square mentality. I just think it locks up. The other thing is they don't come onto the land finding the power spots, and these, you know, we keep on talking about it, but what we're really saying is these biogeometry testing tools, dowsing tools, and you can find the power spots, which is the vortexes of energy that, which are the vortexes of energies that come out of the earth, depending on the angle of 2 underground river crossings. So some folk will just put a toilet on top of the vortex of energy, and the energy just jams up. You know, so I think it's a bit of it's doing
that's a hell
that.
Of a toilet.
Hey,
I said that's a hell of a toilet.
Yeah, but that's what happens, or they put a crossing of the roads on that point, or it's just unconscious thing, you know. Lack of
audience wants to know how many people are you talking about in one of these areas? Like what's the size of the population in these communities?
Well, you know, Jeff Lawton spoke about this. I think he's capping it at like 200-300 people per this piece of land. You can have another piece of land, and we do next to that piece of land, and I'll maybe even show a little bit of the just a video from our team because this is not the full story. You guys, the full story is got 350 hectares, which is close to 1,000 acres already. So, and they're all designed already, you know. But the reason you don't want to go over 300 people is that at some point, over 300 people, you start losing face recognition. You start losing who's the brother, who's the sister, that personal connection, and then it becomes one big pot.
Sorry. I think you lose personal responsibility too once it gets past a certain amount of people, because then, you know, people are pointing the fingers at other people that are doing or not doing, or, and then you have a lot more disputes with the bigger community than when you got it less and people are more friendly and know everybody.
Exactly. Then it's like in a city, we don't know anybody, and it's such a cold place, just no connection at all. People don't even look in each other's eyes. Sharing of costs and equal inputs. So I think that's an important one. But as I said, time can convert to money. Money can be is money. So, if people can either put sweat equity or money, but in the beginning stages, we need both. Like right now, I've just landed here in Russia, and we thanks God for those school kids, because, that's like young, they're like 17, 18, they're ready to dig, and I'll be posting a video. It's amazing what's happening. But at the same time, we need cash. We need the cash to buy those things that drill the holes, because we're finding with the electro-bur, or whatever, the vortex that pulls and digs out holes in the ground, it's going eight times faster, because kids can be then planting the dip it into like a biological active stuff that we mixed in together with clay, and they're dipping the roots in, and they just so it's 8 times faster by using a bit of machinery, and that needs money. So I have to speak about, it's not even a question, I have to speak about when you start a community, and if things are going to start rocking, there's purposeful destructors that can be planted in communities. And it sounds scary, but the two kinds of people. The one guy destructors, they'll come and try and destroy your community on purpose. I don't know if they're sent by the dark forces properly, or if it's the law of co-creation. And of course, in law, we have the law of polarity. So as soon as there's co-creation, there is destruction. I don't know which one of these, or maybe both. But these destructors have to be identified, because they'll come and try and mess things up on purpose, and they're doing it in these Russian communities big time. So the one guy, he'll be very friendly, and he'll be inviting everybody to their house all the time to share meals and to chat, and he wants to know all the news and who's who. And then the other guy, he will say, for example, I'll take on all the paperwork, and I'll work with the governors and the people to make sure that the land is in the right position. We'll transfer the piece of land into... He just says he's going to do all the paperwork. And of course, us permaculture folk were like, yeah, brother, go for it, and they just delegate everything to him in terms of the paperwork. And then the next thing he'll, for example, suggest, okay, why don't we have a double accounting book? We have the accounting book that we show them, and we have a accounting book that we show us. And of course, the folk in the beginning say like, no, but we come of the people of the land, we come with truth, we don't want this bullshit. But he wheels and deals, and they eventually agree. So what happens later is they keep on giving him money to do certain things, to do certain paperwork, and it's just stuff is not getting done, and things are being dragged on, and basically they can't even kick him out eventually, because he knows that they're running a double accounting book, so he can bust on them. So, but I don't want to chat about it more, but I just want to let you know that there are purposeful destructors that join communities. Another important point is exit and entrance strategies. And this is something I'm facing here right now, because I'm about to run a workshop and build one of these units, which is a master craftsman village. It's this little snaky village, and one of these houses, like a hobbit village, where our glass blowers and clay makers and toy makers are going to be. So, I'm going to run a workshop similar to what I did in Nepal, and actually build a little beautiful, arrangement of domes. And the first thing that I've hit is this entire land is right now in the status of a field to plow, a field to have cows on, no buildings allowed. And I'm like, oh shit, what's the worst that can happen? Well, they come and bulldoze it. Like, oh gosh. And the second thing that I'm
really big problem though, isn't it? Like we were talking about in the beginning, is getting around the municipalities want to put their hand in everything and make you have a permit for this and permission for that and zone it in this way or that way.
It's zoning. Now we're talking particularly about zoning. So the land has to be zoned in.
Dig a hole, go and build underground.
Yeah, but we want sunlight, David. You know what I mean? We want sun. Why must we build underground? We're the people of the earth. Why must we hide? But at the same time, you know, it's getting to that point. But not in Russia. You know, it's still a bit of freedom. Not really. They're clamping down. I mean, you guys don't even know that in 1991 we were lost. Do you know that we lost the Cold War to America? Do you know that most of our money is going to America right now? All our oligarchs are sitting in America. All the children are learning in America, and all of our money from entire country is leaving, and nothing can come back. Any funding for any of this cannot enter the country. They'll spin the money around banks for like a month or two, and then they'll send it right out. Like if it's big money, you know. 10,000 American governors came and they trained our entire government in capitalism. And we are on our knees right now. I'd say it's poorer than Nepal. It's so poor there. People are so poor. No, it's messed up. But anyway, so what you're hearing on news, don't trust any of that. So another thing that I've hit now is the owner of the land hasn't yet moved the land into cooperative. So he is the sole owner of the land, which is very, very dangerous. Meaning, you know what I mean? I mean, I build and something happens, he gets into financial trouble and he sells the land and boom. So whilst there is trust he owns this building where I'm sitting and whilst there's trust, I have been screwed twice, you know, in Dubai and with my sale of my current business in Johannesburg. So it doesn't matter what he says until the land is moved into cooperative and I know an entrance strategy. So I know that I'm going to build this thing and this is going to be my input into the land. And what do I need to do to become part of the cooperative? You know, and right now these rules are not written out. The cooperative is not created yet. We are working on it. And the land is in his name. Very, very dangerous. So I'm not going to be building anything on his land unless he moves it into a trust. And we are the trustees. Very, very important because people fly in this thing and a lot of people burnt their fingers so bad after 10 years of doing something on the land. It just sells the land. Happen, but I'm not. So yeah, get real. How to govern communities? You know, we can have all the ideas in the world. We sit there on WhatsApp all day long and we're like, yeah, this is what we do. This is how we make decisions. Let me tell you, when you get on the land and when you start like, this is it, you left the city, you start figuring out things in a really quick way. Some things you haven't thought of through mental masturbation of living in the city. So one of the awesome ways not to have 300 people arguing in a meeting is to have people split into 10, select a leader. So 10 folks select a leader that represents these 10 people. So when you're having an entire community coming in, you can have 20 leaders coming in, and it's much easier to find a common consensus to, you know, between 20 people versus 200. That's firstly. Second of all, this is where I don't like the word, I don't like capitalism, democracy, but there are good things from it. It's not so black and white. And the good things of it is that if majority chooses, then majority wins. Of course, we'll take everybody's opinion into account, but at the end of the day, having consensus from everybody could be lethal because you'll never get a consensus from everybody because we all come from such diverse backgrounds that, you know, trying to have everybody to agree on one thing is just mad. So, you know, majority wins, we move on with the decision. Yeah. But governing of communities is Diana Christian, got a whole thing. I think one should read it and I should read it. And I'll be posting more as we figure it out ourselves. Right now,
part of it is
it's 5 of us.
Did you have to set up like a constitutional type rule set up? So that the mob doesn't get to decide everything every time? And how do you decide how to put the people with the right talents doing the right jobs? Like, you know, some people just don't have a knack for telling people what to do or seeing the big picture, but they're, you know, extremely smart at one thing or another, even though they may not want to do that thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. And then what came out for me from what you just said is, guys, to start a community, you need a few entrepreneurs. You really, really need them. You need hands-on folk like permaculturists, agronomists that can get their hands in dirty, but you really need entrepreneurs. And don't be afraid of entrepreneurs, the conscious entrepreneurs like myself, David, who really are doing it for our planet, for our future generations, but know how to count the money, the money coming in, so we don't go bankrupt. Because when we go bankrupt, it's over. It's over. Everybody runs back to the city, and I did myself. 2012, I ran back to the city because the cash ran out. No matter how big your dreams are, when your son says, "Papa, food," and and your garden hasn't grown enough, and you don't have enough, and you don't have cash for Whole Foods or your whatever, the groceries. Sorry, whatever big dreams you have, they all go down the drain because it's the reality check. So, but do you have conscious entrepreneurs? And identify who's good at like organizational moments. Like I'm very good. I can see, okay, 20 people, okay, 5 people can go there. 3 people, what are you doing? Are you standing? Okay, let's connect you there. So everybody has this.
There's nothing more irritating in work whenever you have to have 2 people doing one person's job, because you have to get someone that's supposed to be handling something, and then you have to babysit them because for 2 different reasons. Either the person in charge didn't.
Can you guys still hear me? Because you froze. Exactly. So this is where the entrepreneurs come in, or especially entrepreneurs who have had lots of staff working for them. They're very good at delegating and processing and getting things involved. So really, like, have those guys. I find there's a lot of, we need everybody. We need a diverse team, but as a starting point in a community, we need the entrepreneurs and we need the master craftsmen, permaculturists, the people that are going to be doing the crafts. And so the craftsman can make something out of nothing, and the entrepreneurs can take that something and make cash out of it for the whole. A lot of folk have been worried, but like people are so money centered. You must understand that we all come from very sick backgrounds of being in a city. We are living in a virtual reality, and then there is the land that's right now falling and falling and falling. We've taken out 75% of our forests in the last 100 years. We've killed 65%.
I love it. Dollar store cookies.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Yummy.
So who's seen that movie? What's it called? Where they chop down trees. It was a little cartoon thing.
The Lorax.
Gosh. Yes. It's exactly what's happening. So we're living in this beautiful, beautiful bubble, okay? And it's all smiley and happy and movies and theater. But you step outside that, just crumbling right under our feet. But people are so far removed. And I'm starting to see it unplugging from the system, seeing how hurt the planet is. But more importantly, trying to create an alternative reality. Here I am on the land. We're doing it. We're planting trees and we're building this thing. You do not understand how much opposition we're having.
Well, if you think about it, like when I was in college, I wrote a paper that was all about how by 2014, about 3/4 of the indigenous forest in Southeast Asia would be mowed over and made into palm plants. And the fact that there's the jungle plants there also only seed every couple years on an El Nino pattern. So if El Nino doesn't come normally or there's climate change, the rest of the forest will die out pretty quick. Plus there's not enough biodiversity anymore because the only thing there is like palm trees or date plants and fields of it where they destroy.
It's a huge problem. But what I'm really trying to say is I'm having my YouTube channel throttled. I'm having my emails throttled. They're not being delivered. How I know that? Because when I would send 8,000 emails, I would have at least 200-300 things bouncing back saying, "Oh, I'm out of the office." All those things. Out of the office. I'm not here. And I get 1 or 2. I get one or two. That's why I reached out to David. I said, David, please, brother, post these YouTube lessons that I'm posting, because
you got to learn the code and not use
really huge. So the system wants us like, they don't want the stuff out. What did you say, David?
You got to learn how to code, because there's a big vocal algorithm in YouTube that takes words that they don't like sustainability or, whatever it is. If you're telling the truth, it's going to be blocked, or the algorithm will make it where people don't see it, and they'll just, It's a major shadow banning campaign against anything that's the real thing. If it's fake, you can play it all day long and they'll advertise for you and everything.
Yeah, like Gangnam Style got 3.5 billion views. It was shaking tits in a toilet. And here I'm talking about how to, build a home that reuses water 7 times. And, after 8 years on YouTube, I've got, 6,000 subscribers now. It was 3,000 a month ago. So maybe something is working. So, yeah.
My people are over there because we're talking about practical solutions to upcoming changes. And there's not a lot of people talking about practical solutions to upcoming major changes on Earth. While everyone watches it happen on the news, not many people are talking about practical solutions. And 90% of the effing population is in poverty, so they don't even have $100,000 to buy shit. They do have $5,000 maybe to build an earth bag home, and so it's a starting point. And community and shared space and shared resources and shared knowledge gives many people that don't have an opportunity. But just like you've been saying, communities can fail, and so approaching them correctly is important.
Yeah, and you got to remember that not too many people really own their homes like they used to in previous decades. Like 70s,
that 80s. I'm answering.
Everybody owned their home basically, but now banks own like 80% of the houses that are out there. They own it.
Yeah. Oh no, I had a whole story with the bank. I've asked them, where's my original document? With my signature, they didn't have it. I said, well, if you don't have my original contract, then we don't have a contract. And I told them to piss off, and I stopped paying. 4 years. 4 years later, they found my original signature. That's how long it took them. They sell it, and then those guys sell it, and then those guys sell it. They're making money out of nothing. Yeah. And this is the big problem that they don't want to, let the masses know, is that they're making something out of your signature. They just type in the numbers on the computer. They check David. So David, you got a good job. You'll be able to pay. There's the money. They created it. And then you have to pay triple that. But yeah, I'm not going to go into that. So the next thing is meat eating and drinking volunteers. Okay. How to deal with them. Not even volunteers.
I volunteer to eat meat and to eat vegetables, and even vegans. I'll eat them if they're cooked right.
Yeah. So the question was obviously from a vegan saying, well, we've got meat eaters in our community, and there is, guys, I also eat some meats now and then, really once a 2-3 months, or once when my body really, really needs it, I'll go and have it. We all have different body constitutions. To say that everybody needs to be vegan is again, it's stupid. Okay, really, we have different body constitutions, and we have different histories. You don't know that my ancestral history comes from Russia. We would have died if we were vegans in Russia. Minus 35 in winter. You need fire, Yeah. So come on, it doesn't make it
here in North America. Oh, sorry. This stupid delay. I hate to tell people in North America, it's good if things are bad and society collapses, good luck on being a vegan in North America in the wintertime. Because really there ain't much out there but bark and meat. There's bark from trees and meat. Unless you have a farm and you planted winter stuff and you're lucky, you only have a choice.
No, that's it. It's very good that you mentioned that, because we're living in this artificially created world, which comes at a price for the planet, and of course the dollar price of the whole foods. I was amazed. I actually went with my phone through the aisle of your fridges, and it was almond yogurt and coconut this and cashew nut cheese, and I'm like, oh my God, But this exactly, when shit hits the fan, guys, gosh, 5 days of no electricity, all of that is gone. A month of electricity, it's not existent. The other day, in Sonoma County, you had a flood. The Whole Foods flooded. It was closed, I think, for 4 to 6 weeks. It was closed. They got, you know what I mean? So it's really hanging on a very thin hair. So just like you said, brother, unless you're growing it yourself, it ain't gonna be there. And we're all here. Never going to happen but the reality is it might just very soon. I don't know how, but it could be an EMP solar. But the bottom line is that you're living in a very artificial. Vegans, sure, if I'm in America and there is cashew nut cheese and a coconut yogurt, well, I'm a vegan. I was there vegan. I loved it. But when I came to Russia and I walk into a store down the road in rural Russia and I'm asking for chia seeds from South America and coconut sugar from Bali, this butch lady stands like this and she is saying, I got buckwheat, I got milk, I got cheese. What do you want? I'm like, no, I want the chia from South America, sister. You know what I mean? Guys.
Yeah, okay, anyway. Apples only last 3 days.
Find. There's nothing wrong with meat eaters as long as.
I love buckwheat. What are you talking about? Buckwheat pancakes.
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with meat eaters. One thing I'll add: if you're growing your own meat, you're growing your own chickens, awesome. Do that. Know where your meat is coming from. For the least of it, know where your meat is coming from. Your farmer next door, support him. Yeah. David, are you doing well? Oh, he's happy, man.
Yeah, I would love to know the percentage of people out there in the United States or anywhere at all that actually have purchased and had enough money, foresight, and place to put it and hide it. Like freeze-dried meals and all that, and survival meals, because there's very few people that have little stashes like that. So, and they're not gonna want to share because they planned it out for them for several years, not for you and not for your family and not for everybody else wandering around when there's nothing to eat.
Yeah. What's your view in 3 minutes or 2 minutes? Can you tell us what can happen that suddenly your food disappears? Just tell me.
All you have to do is have a grid failure, period. After that, people start getting hungry. Their refrigerators don't work. They didn't have the foresight to stock things like rice and beans and dry goods. All of their fresh foods will rot.
Why would grid stop working?
Not for any reason, more than just a solar flare. Most of it's old, and they just patch it. They don't ever upgrade it, and the whole grid is overstressed because of the amount of electricity that everybody has. And you think about every single person has a need for electricity now, even more than before, because they're carrying around little gadgets they got to charge. And then what are they going to do with that? They've spent all their life. Think about just all the regular people. They've spent all their life stuck on the television, looking at their phone, and they've never learned common sense on what to do next. What do I do when I'm hungry and there's no food at the store? Where you go? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you something that I recently learned that just want you to consider, that most of the folk on the planet are one-time comers. They're not even real human beings. I don't know where they come from. They're one-time comers. They come for one life and then they go. Universe just absorbs their dust. And then there is folk like us who keep on coming back and over and reincarnate back into Earth. And that's why it's so important for us to have a home. It's so important. This is our own. Anyway, let's another question was, do 55-year-olds, do elder folk get separate places in the communities? Do we put the 55-year-olds like there and the younger crew there? So there's two thoughts. One is like, don't social engineer. The other one was, you know what, if some folk want to be in a quieter zone, them like in the later ages of their life, why not put them on the edge right next to the forest? you know, and the young folk are frontline where there's all the action and cutting and grinding, you know, and
you gotta call it the quiet zone. You can't age people because then you'll start fights. So it doesn't matter if the old people or the young people want to go there. That's the quiet zone, because 55 is the new 37. By the way,
that's a big deal. I have disputes with my neighbors constantly about, I make music videos and sometimes I'm over here and I'm loud and they don't like it. So I like to be out away from everyone so I can do my thing the way I want. But that is a good point, because a lot of people, they don't mind noise, and actually it makes them feel better to be at the center of, you know, more downtown. And young people like to stay awake late and, you know, play music and have a good time. So yeah, it would make sense that the elderly people would have a place to, or not elderly, like you said, 55 is not really that old, but people would like to be quiet at night.
But quieter zones, more active zones, maybe zones for musicians. You know, where central fire pit could be, and people can come and drum. Like, you know, I want to go to sleep at 9 o'clock in the evening, and as soon as the drum goes off, I just goes right through all the walls.
It could be naked zones, you know, 22 acres of nudity only.
Or you can build into the community ergonomically, like the megalithic
5G,
base it off of the acoustics, so that, you know, you can bounce sound back into places and places that absorb things in the design of the community.
Yeah, exactly. It's all part of the design. But that, I think, is more of a later stage, because right now we need to get some cash. We need to get some people to help us, because there's no funds to pay labor. So it's either volunteers, or, you know, and you also, David, you know, you said about, you know, people can come put in sweat equity. Yeah, sure, we can reach out a call and make big promises right now. But I don't know if, you know, out of those 300 people that are going to come and help us now, expecting that they're going to get a percentage, I don't know if we can get along with half of those.
Well, what more does someone expect for a day's work and stuff? You know, like a full belly?
Yeah, woofers, willing workers on organic farming. They'll do a graft and you feed them and you house them and they're happy. So I think in the beginning stages is that kind of thing. And once I know that, hey, brother, you're a good brother, I can work with you, you know, but, you know, we work nicely together, then we can start offering some kinds of shares in the trust and not before. You know what I'm saying? Because from what I understood from David, he says, yeah, just promise everybody 2% and they can come and dig. You know, it goes beyond digging. You know what I mean? Yeah. Do I dig you, you know, or not? So 5G, microwaving the planet. Yeah, it's becoming a huge problem. Obviously, less in the rural areas. That's why I do suggest going out into the rural areas. But 5G, and I think they're switching it on next year. They're busy wiring every single satellite right now.
Unfortunately about that, they're not going to leave you alone in the rural areas, or at least not here. They've already built the platform for it, even pretty far out. There's no place or corner that they don't want to saturate with that. And plus we have, 20,000 satellites from one company. Elon Musk put up another 11,000, and these are microwave 5G broadcasting satellites that point down back towards Earth. So they want to blanket you in it, even if you live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have a solution. And this is something I'm going to be developing this year. Okay. It's things like orgonite mixed into our building materials. It's things like biogeometric sculptural shapes, which is the energy of shape, so that it can refract the wave. It refracts the wave. It refracts the harmful effects of the wave. You know, you know what I'm saying? So
you could incorporate like Faraday type technology and different things that absorb stuff into
exactly. It's the Faraday little bit of a mesh on top, or where the skylight is of the dome. So I've just posted on YouTube a video showing me walking with my Wi-Fi signal walking into a sandbag dome. It disappeared.
Yeah,
and the sandbag dome is closer to the Wi-Fi router than my Acre dome. It disappeared. So check out that video. So I am going to be developing the homes that really will protect us from 5G and EMR. but I need to get on the ground. And for me to get on the ground, I need to have stable course sales. And the course is all about water and water sustainability and building your off-grid eco home. So once I've got stable course sales, and that's where, you know, I'm reaching out to the community, I can get on the ground because I'm an inventor. So I'll go and find, I need to get the metal shavings. I need to mix them with the building material. I need to fly to Ibrahim Karim from Biogeometry. We need to.
I have a question for you.
Elements to insert into domes, stones at certain placements and so on, maybe a copper spiral on the floor. You know, it's R&D. It's R&D. You need to be on the ground, but for me to do that, I need to have course sales coming in stable, at least at one sale per day. So just reaching out for support out there, but we'll mention about the course just now. I just want to cover some of the final key things. How much money does one need to bring to start to come into this? It's a tricky one. It depends on the community size. It depends what you want to do. What is the theme of your community? You know, are you a healing community? Maybe if you're a healing community, then you just need to build like a center. You know, so how much is that center going to cost? A center and maybe a small little earthship, a few rooms for you folk to stay in the beginning stages, you know. So if that center is $400,000 and it's 30 of you, or let's say 40 of you, then, you know, you bring in $10,000 each. So it really depends on, you know, as a starting point, we're talking about getting one or two businesses to tick over, to start bringing financial income. So, you know, so I write up a business plan for that business. If it's a healing center,
like kind of like a Quaker, I mean, nothing to do with their religion, but their way that they build their communities is like Quakers, Jehovah's Witnesses. What they do is they just get people that are in those fields that are part of their community, which is their religion or whatever. But they get all those people and they just show up one day and they throw up, you know, like the communal buildings, not so much people's private house, but maybe their barn, because their barn is for more progress, so that there's more food. I mean, it benefits the entire community when people have functioning land.
Yeah. So definitely get one or two businesses going, see how much they're going to cost, have budget for marketing, crucial. You know, your Google ads, your Facebook, your search engine optimization, all of that. And of course, like you said, get some food growing immediately, because food is very costly, especially organic food. And if you got it growing and you're out in the sticks, you know, please. So start by soil improvements and all those permaculture methods, which we're not going to cover right now. What to look for when seeking the land. Jeff Lawton's got a really good video on points to look for when seeking the land. So just go through his YouTube thread, and you will see he points things like if there's two little hills, you know, it creates you make a small wall and you catch a lot of water in a dam. You know, it's things like that. You want to do a few pilot holes in your land to see what's underneath your feet. You know, you don't want to buy the land and you discover it's all clay, 5 cent, 2 inches topsoil and all clay underneath, because you're going to struggle with that. So you obviously want to get the land that possibly hasn't been killed with pesticides, or, you know, you want to see a couple of earthworms in there. So do a few pilot holes. I slept on the land before I bought the land. So really just stick in a mattress. If good weather, leave the tent out. Like last night I was sleeping, but I got rained on. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I ran inside. But I love sleeping outdoors under the stars. You really connect to the mother. And yeah, so do that. And check out Jeff Lawton's video. He's my teacher, by the way. I've done my permaculture design course with him.
So what was the inspiration on the design there? It reminded me a little bit of Chaco Canyon with all the circles and contours in it. And, you know, earlier you were talking about how the whole thing is set up kind of at a ergonomic more for nature and humans both together. Did you use, I thought I heard on one of your videos that you were trying to incorporate ancient geology.
Yeah. No, of course. That's what First of all roads are on contour. All roads are on contour because water flows 90 degrees to contour. So if you make a road on contour, it can act as a water harvesting strategy. So the road will bring in water to this huge dam here, 25 million gallon dam. So the water will just, and definitely finds in the power spots, they affect the design. Yeah. Of course, it's all biomorphic. There's no bio, all these curvy lines because there is no straight lines in nature like Gaudi said.
Right. Yeah. Mama Nature's curvy.
Yeah. How can one start with limited budget but great will for communities? Have an entrepreneur too in there. We already spoke about it. Because or sell some cars. Communities at minus 40 Celsius, which is very, 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 very cold in Fahrenheit. Canada, North Canada. Guys, fireplaces, in Russia, all the communities, fireplaces, warm homes, nice bigger homes so you can do crafts. You can do crafts throughout winter and really, because you don't want to be stuck in a tiny home at minus 40 Celsius. Okay. What's a kindermain? Kindermain is a type of a community where kindermain is actually your place in a community. So kindermain would be one of these things. Comes from the books of Anastasia, Vladimir Maigret, claims to be it's a 1 hectare. We took away 1 hectare because folk coming out of a flat in the city, giving them 2.5 acres of land to manage with limited funds, impossible, especially if they've never touched a piece of land before. So as nice as the dream sounds, but kindermain is a place where you plant your fruit trees, you build your homes, you plant your vegetable gardens, your everything, and then you reincarnate back into your land through.
And you got to know your environment too. To set up
instead of being born in or torn out through your children. Okay, so I'm catching David here. Yeah, basically, instead of coming into and being torn out of a stomach of your mother in some hospital and being slapped, and then having your thing cut, really
assault you and all of that.
Yeah, so coming in with consciousness, coming in with memory. So little David now, 200 years later, running on the land and saying, Granddaddy, why does that dome look so familiar? And Granddad says, David, you built it 200 years ago. Now imagine that. You're coming into the land with 200-year-old food forest garden, 300 varieties of trees, medicinal herbs and vegetables and plants, like no debt. And a few construction things, already a few homes.
That was the most impressive thing that on your video that I heard you talk about in your community is all of the edible forest, because a few years back, I got stuck living on an Air Force base in Washington, D.C. And they've built over everything. But in between where society has forgot about the little tracts of land between nature, I found all kinds of things growing, like raspberries and wild grapes and, like mulberries, all kinds of stuff. And what I started doing is realizing that instead of you go around and poisoning and mowing your lawn for some reason to look like you live in Scotland when you don't. I mean, you don't live in Scotland, so there's no reason to have that style of yard with bushes and stuff. And if you just let the things that grow in the place where you live, a lot of times you can just allow the food to grow and, help it out by killing the other things that are taking up the nutrients in the water. And you don't do anything. Like I did that. I let a mulberry tree grow in a couple of years, and it was giving me pounds of fruit now.
You're quite right. You're quite right. First of all, talking about Scotland, they designed those yards for the king, and they had sheep that grazed on it to keep it so short. Okay, that's the first thing.
Yeah, even that was more eco-friendly than mowing it with a big gas lawnmower every minute just so people could see your house.
Yeah. And second of all, I think it's huge social engineering happening with TV. People keep on reinforcing a point of view of how society, reality should be by watching the movies and watching the TV shows and seeing that what's happening outside. But you see, my neighbor lives like this, so we live like that. And of course, now with the laws and regulations, I think somebody got jailed by planting some things on their front lawn. They weren't allowed to do that. Even in South Africa, we're not allowed to do that.
They do things here like arrest people for turning off of the main grid and using solar panels and other things to have their own electricity, or digging a well without their permission and having water, or a water turbine or a wind turbine that's not hooked to their grid. They will come and seize your land and get violent with you. Guys, with force.
Basically, it's a war now. It's them against us. And right now they're winning. I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to fly my butt in the unicorn rainbow farting. They are winning the war because they have all the guns.
Shit.
Unless it's folk like David supporting me and helping me, and we support each other and other people supporting us, it's becoming difficult. It really is, because they control the media, and we're using internet. The internet is becoming controlled. That's it. We're
I can guarantee that this won't be advertiser friendly, even though we haven't said anything vulgar or bad or hateful or none of that.
Yeah, let's not focus. But it's a war. So the only way we can succeed is if we bring in natural law. If we train up a few thousand mystics, we have to train a few thousand magicians, wizards, witches, shamans, whatever you want to call them, because they are using metaphysical ways to control the planet.
Do we got room for a cussing monk?
Yeah. So it's gone so bad that they're using your children that are disappearing in America. They're being fed to the dark entities through blood sacrifices. Around 20th of March to April. Check out Mark Pasio's been sharing a bit on that, but huge sacrifices are happening. So they feed the entities, the Clintons and all of them are involved. They feed the entities, and the entities are giving them tremendous
corner here.
The entities are giving them back tremendous power to control. So whilst we're standing with posters, save the whales, then we might save the whales here, but 10,000 more things go wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, I totally agree with that. I actually talk about that.
So it's important that we train up the mystics. What did you say?
I said, actually, I agree with that. I talk about that quite often, how things people think are normal things in their lives are actually something else, and it's right in their face. Like, we have Planned Parenthood everywhere where they kill people volunteer to kill their own offspring, instead of their right to live on the planet and, put on their genetic fingerprint into the future. They made people think it's a human right to kill your offspring, and they're all over the place. And the people that are behind that, like you said, like people like the Clintons, they love that kind of stuff. It's the blood sacrifice right out in the open, and they're trying to tell you it's a thing, and you're a good.
But understand why they're doing it. They are feeding the entities, and the entities are giving them tremendous power to stay in power. It's a natural law. We have to train people in natural law, otherwise we do not have a chance.
Yeah, I even went off last night about the television, how the basis of the television, you think it's entertaining, but what it does really is make you stop paying attention to your own life and the people around you, and focus all your emotions and time in on fake people doing fake things in a fake life. Meanwhile, you sit at home and age, and you don't interact with the real world and nature outside.
Basically, if people are gonna carry on watching telly and escaping like this, we are not going to have a planet anymore.
Yeah, I believe that.
I say 26 years, so I say 100. Very few years we're gonna lose it. So wake up, people! Throw your tellies out.
Well, at least use them to watch stuff like this.
Yeah, Yeah.
Do we have any live questions from people in the
let's
chat?
check out if we've got any live questions.
Any questions in the chat?
Any questions?
Are there any questions, chatters? Twin Flames, Vegan 404, Justin, Top Knot, Steve Farmer, Kitten X.
They all get wrenches. That's why it looks blue like that.
Johan, where are we?
Any cues, man? I don't know. Well, you know, no offense to the audience, but that's how it is with most people. These kind of ideas are kind of overwhelming to them to think about giving up the matrix life and starting to, you know, actually earn their place in the world there.
Just repeat your question. Just to say that again, please.
No, I was saying no offense to the audience, but everybody's kind of like that everywhere, where some of these ideas about actually, you know, turning the earth and making something out of nothing and using their own effort to survive is really it's overwhelming for them to think that they have to leave, you know, like the comfort of technology, even though the comfort is what's killing them. Yeah.
Yeah, brother. We're speaking about the real McCoy. We're talking about how to get out of this whole, what's that movie called? The Forest?
The Lorax. Are you talking about the digital
forest
thing where they kill all the trees and there's no real trees in the future? And
yeah. What's that movie called?
Oh, the Lorax. It's a Dr. Seuss.
The Lorax. It's exactly that. They're living in this fake digital, not even digital, they're living in this fake world, the city of Lorax. And then you step outside that's exactly what's happening right now. So what is happening right now is where I am. And it's a really hard battle because there is no finance. You know, it's hard to get finance for this kind of thing. And it's the real important stuff. And it's very few people are paying attention to it. And I'm here to discover how our community unfolds.
Oh, sorry.
I'll discover how our community unfolds, and I'll be sharing with folk, you know, how it's unrolling, what to avoid, what worked, what didn't work. So, you know, we'll be doing more of these live sessions and sharing a lot more. But what I really want to say is, folk who's hearing this, please support my training. It's the Eco Home. Could I share a screen here?
Yes, absolutely. And one question in there, someone's asking, how easy is it to get a visa to live in Russia?
That's a very good question.
Someone else said that you're doing a good job answering all their questions already.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, yeah, that's a good question. People are wanting to know, how can they come to Russia and, you know, join our community? First of all, folk, you got to have some skills in sustainability that our community needs. So it's not going to be you joining us. It's going to be us reaching out and saying, right, we need a permacultures. We need a natural builder. We need a SEO marketing specialist, because that's what I really need right now. Is a marketing wizard with internet marketing. And these are the people that we're going to be inviting to our community. So unless you have skills, forget it. No community will want to get folk with no skills, because it's a dead weight. Yes, David? Dead weight for the community that you have to feed. David is so happy.
I'm sure that eventually, once the community's formed, I mean, not to sound mean or nothing, but there'll be remedial tasks that people that really don't have skills can do.
Sure, but in the beginning stages,
blank, dude. Put something up there.
Oh yeah, we're looking at your Zoom. Right here,
we're looking at your Zoom page.
It's under there. We go. There's your desktop.
So
hey, watch out! Don't put your internet porn up. I did that the other night, so make sure it's closed.
David, I don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, these are cool. It's a smart village, man.
So I'll just play this in the background. So we have two courses which is connected into one. We teach how to build this beautiful dome with all of these water ecosystems. And I'll just go back. So the ferrocement tank, there is the permaculture earthworks to catch water in the ground, which is very cool. There it is, you know. Direct the water from the pavement.
You have this hook to the whole roof and everything, so that the whole roof, the area is catching the water you're collecting.
Of course, there it is, the gutters. I'm the craziest motherfucker. Sorry, I'm not gonna say that word. I'm the craziest guy who put gutters on thatch roof. It's the worst kind of roof to catch water off. And we're actually putting a wetland above this water tank just to circulate the water, because it's coming up with a smell. But here is a first flush. The little tank is a first flush, so that catches water and and cleans out the bird shit and all that stuff. And the cleaner water goes into this big tank. There it is in construction. So it's bags, you know, rat protection, so the rats don't get into your tank and die. You know, underground water tank, which is very cool. That's actually underneath the dome, believe it or not. So that's very cool, because should the nuclear war happen or something really horrible, you have supplies here and you can get into this room underneath your house. It's a very important feature. There it is. So it's a dome roof, and then you ferrocement it. You know, yeah. Then there is another cool thing, biochar filter, that we teach. It's all in this course. So that's first one's got gravel, sand, and third one's got biochar. We made our own biochar, and the fourth one's got clean water to drink. So this is clean drinking water from your roof, which obviously is stored in your water tank. This is a wetland, quite a nice feature. So that takes care of your bath and shower water, and that treats it out nicely. And then it's got like a low tank, like a sump, that pushes the water to that silver tank that you can see. And then, of course, irrigates the garden. So you're basically reusing the water 7 times. So that's the pool treatment wetland that we're constructing. And that basically gives you clean drinking water in the pool, so you don't have to use chlorine. Biochar filter. You know, so it uses barbed wire. It's Cal Earth. I've studied at Cal Earth. So basically presenting 6 live workshops in one online course, which is basically, plus I've made $30,000 worth of mistakes. And everything is made for human comfort. You can sit on it. You know, everything is made like a bench type style, so you can sit and enjoy it. That's that beautiful tank next to the straight house. So you see, I had to make a ferrocement wall so my bricks don't pop in from the pressure of the water. So everything is thought through and organized. There is a wall I had to build because the river flooded my entire garden. So it's a 180 feet wall with these vesica pisces type of pockets that you can use for compost or wetlands or whatever you want to do in them. I even sleep in one. Biogas digester. Very cool. So that basically takes toilet water and, you know, make fire from it for gas stove or gas.
Those things.
Yeah, this is what EMR looks like throughout the city. They're actually able to photograph it now. This is 3G. This is what your phone. There's a guy walking into the shop with his phone.
That's exactly what I imagined it doing.
Yeah. This is the cancerous spots. So we also teach in the course how to not place the home on the geopathic stress zone. This is what you were speaking about earlier. So this geopathic stress zones like cancer. All these red dots is because of the vortexes of energies. These are called Hartmann or grid lines and Curry grid lines, and this is a home. You can see how many of them. It's throughout the planet. So God forbid you put your bed on a crossing like that. So there's, you know, this is the work of biogeometry. You can test for these lines. That's what they look like. So basically, yeah, I've got this awesome course, and let me stop sharing. And I offer anybody to come in, and I'll just put it into chat. I don't know if they can see. It's bioveda.co/dome home. And if you type in capital L, small e, capital H, you can get in, well, there's nobody's in session, but you know the website, bioveda.co/dome home. And capital L, small e, capital H is the promo code. You can get the course at $200, which is super, super affordable. We give a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it's a really cool training. You will be able to build your own home. I guarantee you that. If you're not able to build your own home, even after 5 years, you can chat with me, and I'll give you your money back. Really, it's that simple. So I guarantee it in front of the witnesses.
You type it in the chat. I didn't see it.
It says everyone is not in session. I don't know why, but the
connection issue. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I could write it out, but buyveda.co.
You see the little chat on the Zoom?
Yeah.
Just put it there, and then I'll copy and paste it and put it in the chat.
Must I email it to you or what?
No, right there in the Zoom at the bottom, there should be a chat button. You can just paste it there, and then I'll copy it.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, the one thing I want to add to the discussion for you, Alosha, especially, I enjoy all of your ingenuity and your engineering and the style and how you've put everything together. We're going to be working on some earth tube technology, and there is a famous guy out here where you might know of him out in Nebraska, who's published information on his greenhouse. It's called Citrus in Nebraska, something like that. He grows citrus in minus 40 degrees in like zone 4 using earth tube technology. And if you buy his program, he simply shows you that if you go below 6 feet, which would be 2 meters in your neck of the woods, you harvest 54 degrees to 58 degrees, depending on where you are on Earth. And you could, in your houses, what you would get is air circulation and free air conditioning. But he uses it in colder climates. So people who want to build these domes in colder climates up near the Arctic or in Canada or anywhere it gets cold, like here, what we're going to be doing is using these earth tubes in our huge greenhouse in front of the barn, and we're actually going to grow citrus here in the high desert mountains of Colorado, the same way he's doing out in Nebraska, by simply going 6 feet deep and almost 42 meters in length. You can change the air temperature, ambient air temperature, from 120 to minus 50 to the ground temperature, which in the middle of winter here, 54 degrees is warm.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks, David, for sharing. It's one of those other things I will be getting down on the ground and developing our homes, because I'm also in cold climate now. I've just moved to south of Russia, and they hit minus 20 Celsius, which is like New York temperature, for a month of the year. So definitely got to be ready for that. So we are going to be developing that, but just need to get those consistent course sales so I can stop sitting on the internet and get onto the ground to be the inventor that I am, which is, my gift for you guys. And that's the gift from the creator that I have.
There's a question from Yosef. He wants to know how much is training to do this.
Was that L capital L small e capital H promo code is $200. It's like way affordable. It cost me $15,000 to travel to all the live workshops to put this course together. Plus, I've made close to $30,000 worth of mistakes, like stupid things, like cutting my wetland line at EPDM too short, 1 foot over a 10 centimeter outflow line, but 1 foot over, I cut it there, but the water is coming over and spilling out. So I had to stop using that wetland, and that was $5,000 wetland. Why?
Why not?
Stones, the water backing up against the rubber. Yeah. So it's all there. All the mistakes and all the solutions are there. So it's really going to be saving you a big deal of the hiccups.
Also,
David, do you want to add anything?
We're talking about business models tonight. Can't you hook people up if they sell your course for you? Won't you hook them up with some money? Tell them about
50% commission. If you can register at buyveda.co/JV launch.
And guys, trust me, I'm going to download this video and put it up on Oppenheimer Ranch with all the pertinent links so that you're not going to miss out on the masterclass link, the BioVito link, and the link that Alosha is talking about right now, the commission link. And
basically you'll have your custom link that you can invite people to our free webinar. It's this thing. This is the community webinar that you've just experienced. Well, not this, but this is a part of it. But I shared there's lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This eco community and permaculture in action. So you basically have a private link that my system, Infusionsoft, knows that they are your people, and I pay 50% commission. I just paid Hajar Gibran from Dom Gaia another $1,000 last night. It's already clocking on to $31,000 I paid him, and he made $31,000 for me by sending out two emails, which copy and paste. I've already got the text, the graphics, the videos, everything is ready. You just have to copy, paste, and send. And really, it's more important that you do that, because as I said, Google is just being throttled. My emails are not getting through. So unless other people are going to start sharing this information, I have a feeling that in a couple of months' time, YouTube is going to take my channel down. My Facebook has been already almost taken down. So they're going to shut that down. They're going to shut my YouTube down. And I'm probably not going to start it again because, it's so much work. So I'm just going to be on the ground doing the stuff. So if you see me disappear from YouTube, know that they've shut me down. But it's coming to that because of the information we're spreading. Yeah. They don't want it. Well, they want slaves and drones. That's all they want. Just get it. I mean, if you haven't woken up, I'm sure people watching this have woken up, but that's what they want. They want people that are just going to pay tax and shut up. And that's why they want to vaccinate everybody and 5G everybody and legalize marijuana, because when everybody's smoking pot all day long, I'm sorry, very little action takes place. Sure, have your pot in the end of the day, but if you start smoking your pot from all day long, you'll complain about the government.
There's a rule we learned a long time ago. See, you don't get high before you go to work, or you may never go. You get high on the way to work. You get high at work. You're already working. You might as well enjoy nature and have a good time. I mean, there's a big difference. That way you won't sit at home thinking about going to work while you eat your Fruity Pebbles and watch cartoons. You can just get up and go, and you get high on the way.
Exactly. So just wake up and start doing the real
this year. Fruity Pebbles, I think I'm growing that.
Oh man, David, you're a star, man. You're so funny.
Right.
Hey, this was a great interview. Buy Alosha's.
We're good, hey.
Sell it for him and make half the money. So get a job. Do it now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and showing all these the houses and talking about all these ideas. I know everybody's into these kind of things. They're trying to find a way out of the system. Just most people don't know how to do it or where to start.
Well, this is why I'm here sharing this stuff with you guys, because yeah. And exactly.
I'll put links that I put in the chat, I'll put them in the description when we're done, if I can talk.
Yeah, baby steps, one step at a time. And as Alosha can attest, and as I can attest, when you're using biotexture and these techniques, and you're trying to be doing cutting edge stuff with natural products, with minimal tools, it's really trial and error. And one course might teach you something, but in a different place, it's going to react differently, or you're going to discover better ways to do it. So you get the master class, start making mistakes like Alosha did, $30,000 worth, but learn from your mistakes. And even then you can, expand upon the designs that he's sharing with you. Be creative.
Just don't make the mistakes I did. That's why I put it there. It will save you 30 grand. You might make some others in your climate, but please don't make the mistakes I did, because that's
learn
stupid.
From other people's mistakes. That's cheaper.
Exactly. Yeah.
All righty.
Okay, folks. Peace. Thanks so much for watching. You see, it's only 26 people watching.